Origin Clear is a company that focuses on wastewater treatment.
And hello, everyone. Welcome to the Water's the New Gold CEO briefing. Our mission is to transform the water industry.
Decentralization offers us this opportunity.
The plan that you've built here is super impressive.
The world is experiencing a crisis in regards to water. It's a great opportunity that you are giving us investors.
The decentralization of water treatment means that we no longer need to establish giant water treatment plants.
Let them fight over the 20%. Let's work with the 80% that's untreated.
Over 21,000 unique alternative investments.
3 million jobs in the U.S. alone.
Making it easy for the regular investor.
All the old trends just accelerated.
Lucrative and fulfilling.
The vision I've got is to standardize these products.
Design, build, own, and operate.
We have 65 people in the room.
We got an important message to share to the world.
We can put a guy on the moon, but our water is horrible.
Recycling all that water, it's a huge impact for the environment.
Bringing new infrastructure in to drive growth in America.
That's a critical part of the picture.
It's a twin 125 gallon per minute RO system.
I don't think we're talking about a $10 million fund. We're talking about a series of $10 million funds.
Yeah, the opportunity itself is very big.
Yes. Take care of the water.
Not too many CEOs do a weekly briefing and are willing to talk to individual investors.
And welcome everyone to the CEO briefing. This is a very special one since we have footage coming in from London where we made our very first institutional appearance. And you'll get to see some of the excerpted footage. And, I'm going to go ahead and start this, but I just want to make it clear that this is not one of those, we're pitching you, right? This is one of those things where you kind of lay it out in a very friendly, peer environment. But I have to say, after this event, there was a tremendous amount of interest. Anyway, so let's get going here and get this party started. Well, this is the last June event, and we'll soon be in July. Oh, no, we have one more, the 30th, Thursday the 30th. So we will see you then. And it is briefing number 166. So Ken will join us. He's having a little trouble with his internet because, I don't know, went to the UK and his internet doesn't work now. But, let's blame the English. Why not? Robert Baxter says, hi, Riggs and Ken, go Yankees. Right on, right on. All right. So sure enough, Ken spoke at the Family Office Forum. This is a group called Prestel and Partners. It was held at the Posh Corinthia Hotel. In the middle, we have Adam Collar, who is a longtime friend and investor. And he called us up. What was it, like Wednesday or something like that, Thursday. It was like really late in the game, and said, hey. And so we moved quickly to show up and make it happen. Paolo Pagella is an ambassador of ours who also showed up. And in fact, he took the video that you'll see. And of course, on the right-hand side, we got Ken. So there they are, the three musketeers. Just give you a sense of what this is about. This is what it looks like. It's 100 plus family offices. Definition of a genuine family office demands a minimum of 120 million pounds and not being a solution provider to those outside the family office. So they're really managing themselves. No sales and pitches, knowledge and expertise. And here's what the audience looks like, depending on where it was. But as you see, never more than roughly 200 attendees. And the family offices were numbered about 100, 120, something like that. And that gives you a sense of what this was. All right. Upcoming editions. Well, we're not going to do the Wiesbaden one because we're not genuine German speaking. But we do think we're going to do the New York one. I was unable to make it this time to London, but I darn well plan to be in New York. So we can look forward to that. And then we'll see where those others of these go. This is not the only family office show conference, but I think that'll be very, very good for us as we step into this space. Because the truth is that we want to raise a lot of capital to make water on demand, water as a service work well for us. And really, this is going to be a very powerful way to go. It doesn't get as complicated as talking to venture capitalists and PE funds. And, it's sort of the middle ground, which is, I think, where we will fit. Of course, we want to remember that our roots remain the good old single accredited investor, and that's who we favor most of all. So here he is about to present, and he's coming up on stage, getting ready to go. So why don't we go ahead and play the short video.
Well, thank you very much. My name is Ken Barrage. I'm Executive Vice President of a company called Origin Clear. COVID has driven a lot of folks out of major cities into what they call secondary cities and even rural areas. So there's a perfect storm happening in the United States, and I don't know how much to the extent Europe, but there's basically decades of infrastructure neglect. It's combined with people moving into underserved areas. Now, due to these kind of twin trends here happening, infrastructure neglect and population migration, I think it's going to be with us for a long time. So the same forces that were bringing about kind of deglobalization of commerce are also bringing about more decentralized water systems, from the creation of clean water processing to effluent water to recycling of the subsequently treated water. Right? The United States is very bad at this, by the way. The United States recycles about 1% of its water. I know. It's awful. Especially when you compare it to Israel, which is 90%. Now, Israel's tiny size makes it providing infrastructure to a very small geographic area more practical. So it's the larger the area, the more difficult and burdensome centralized infrastructure becomes, and the more the need for globalized, decentralized water treatment, which is what we do. An additional factor which is emerging in the industry is the concept of something called design, build, own, and operate. And this is where a water company actually finances a water system and charges the business or the community a utility fee. Don't worry, here's your $1 million system. We'll provide you your very specific needs. You pay on the meter. We'll maintain it. We'll run it like any piece of grand industrial equipment. And the response has been, sure, great, where do I sign? It's been very, very popular. And we're basically almost acting like a mini municipality. So companies are already doing this, not just us. We've personally been creating and selling these things for over a decade to the mid-sized local business and mid-sized, smaller 100-home housing communities, luxury homes right now, but hotels. Picture anything that's going to be producing a lot of water. Origin Clear, okay? With something that I've co-created with my CEO. It's a water on demand program. And what is a little different here is that it's enabling investors to receive long-term residual income like an oil well. Okay, those of you who are familiar with MLPs, they have shielded and protected more income and more general wealth in the last 40 years than very few other instruments. The problem is they're dirty, right? So certain investment groups simply won't participate in it. This has the benefit of being water and making it better, right? So you're basically making money while doing good. In short, I'm the co-creator of something that I came here feeling was very special and unique because it solves real serious problems, but it aligns all sides of the equation where all parties benefit, because generally, not without exemptions, but there are two crowds out there: those who deploy capital to make money, and that's number one, number two, and number three priority. That's fine, okay. And then there's those that deploy capital to do good. And that's so if you can actually create something that does both, and where those interests don't run at odds with each other, then thankfully we're starting to get there, I think, in my view. And I think that's what we do. So this is, having a really good, virtuous, do-good type motivation is great. If it happens to be very, very capital-friendly, well, that's even better. Doing well by doing good. Many of you will do this because it's the right thing to do. There's a reward that's not tied to money. And it's to save the lives of children, which, who's going to argue with that? Some of the statistics he came out with on child trafficking and basically slave labor were absolutely heartbreaking. So if you could solve a different problem that had a almost equally devastating impact on children, but also do well financially by doing good, I think that you can unlock a lot more capital. There's those who are, they just want to make money. That's cool. I'm fine with that. And then those who will do it virtuously. But if you can do that, you can unlock the capital that would only do it because they're making money. And I think if you could harmonize doing well with doing good in the same effort, in the same instrument, I believe that's what water on demand is. So I saw also a major deficiency in how governments were handling our most precious asset in the world, which is water. So he came up with that statistic. Here's another infuriating statistic, and that's why what he said struck me. More than 80% of sewage is discharged into water supplies around the world. Sewage, guys. No treatment whatsoever. This contributes, at least in part, to the fact that as we're having this conversation today in this lovely hotel, 6,000 children are going to die today from waterborne illnesses. If you can crack this code, once again, affluent people of conscience will be the ones that can power this initial solution to this. So if we do this, the environmental and humanitarian benefits of fixing this problem are incalculable. But outside of this room, many in the world are only going to invest in what makes them money. That's okay. I keep saying that. I am a capitalist, all right? But if you can bring them Series A founders round position with a planned public offering, combine it with the only income-bearing, inflation-friendly asset class that hasn't even begun to run, and accelerate it through fintech, the bulk of the world that does not invest virtuously will do well by doing good, even if that wasn't their motivation in the first place. So, founders round, future offering, inflation-friendly income, new asset class water, and there's a planned blockchain and cryptocurrency application that Riggs and I created that will be developed parallel and added later. So with money, as I've heard a number of times today, money not being so easy anymore, I believe we'll have a lot of appeal to diverse audiences in both the virtuous and the purely capital-focused areas. So with that, I'm very proud to announce the launch at this Prestel and Partner Family Office Forum, our $300 million Water on Demand capital offering that'll be featured on Manhattan Street Capital's website, one of the premier crowdfunding sites in the world, and it has variable terms. It's kind of unique, and I won't get too much into the details here. We don't want to keep it pitchy. I want to inform, and then we can speak one-on-one. But it's got a couple of different variable terms, so it's designed to appeal to really everyone. The ordinary accredited investor, the high net worth individual, and even family offices. What I find most exciting about this is it is the world's first income-bearing asset in clean water delivered as a service. So with that, I'm going to give you a glimpse at the screen at the website that we launched. My co-creator, my co-conspirator, Rick Zeckelberry, my CEO, speaks on it quickly. So Alan, if you wouldn't mind.
Hi, I'm Rick Zeckelberry, co-founder, chairman, CEO of Origin Clear. The government needs to continue to provide a lot of abundant, clean water. But what happens to it after it's used, when it's dirty? Do you know that 80% of all sewage is never treated? It's just dumped. That leads to water scarcity, but it also leads to a lot of disease and pollution, the ocean turning into something horrible. At the same time, the cities and counties are not getting the funding they need to really treat the water, and so they can't keep up. The solution is let the people who use the water clean the water. Water on demand is a way for regular investors to invest in water systems that are built at the local business, industrial, agricultural level. Not the big central systems, but rather this new breed of private water treatment. Let's say you're a brewery and you're making lots more beer and therefore you make lots more leftover water. Where does it go? Well, the cities are saying that's too much. We can't take it. At the brewery, they're not in the business of water treatment. This is brand new. And so they need a solution. Also, they're not experts. You're going to ask them to hire a water expert? That doesn't work either, right? What we have is a solution which is water on demand, which means I need water treatment, boom, you get it. No need for capital, no need for maintenance, just sign on a dotted line, the machine shows up on your site and it's maintained and it treats the water. We have opened up investment in these water systems to the general investing public. We're charging these people on the meter just the same way they're used to with the city, right? But it's not the city doing it anymore. It's the business. Business loves it. Why? Because if they treat the water themselves, guess what? They can reuse it. They can recycle. They can get more water for their money. And now we take care of a lot of the scarcity problems. So this is a solution that solves so many problems in the water industry. In today's economic climate, you want to get away from just holding on to dollars or even holding on to gold, because gold doesn't earn money, right? Water on demand is investment in actual capital assets that earn income. But think about it. If you can get a tangible asset and make royalty money from your tangible asset, then it's the best of all worlds. Lots of assets out there. A lot of people know they need to invest in assets. So therefore, assets are skyrocketing in value. Crude oil, precious metals, commodities of all kinds, lumber, you name it. Water has only begun. It's the beginning of the run for water. Water on Demand is the first program to enable investors like you and me to get into an asset. I believe it's a once-in-a-generation opportunity to make real change with our health, water, and also to take advantage of the development of an asset that will throw off revenue and, I believe, increase in value tremendously. The first thing you can do is to sign up to hear my weekly briefing. It's every Thursday night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Just put oc.gold/CEO in your browser, register for the briefing. If you can't make it to actually watch it, you'll get the replays automatically. But week by week, you will hear about this amazing program being developed in real time, and you will be in on something exciting. Whether you're an investor or not, you will be in on this heartbeat of an activity that I think is just phenomenal. Obviously, I love it. I'm one of the people who helped develop it, and we have a lot of work ahead of us. We want you to join us because it needs to become, and I believe it will become, a movement. Stay tuned, and I look forward to hearing more from you.
So you're investing in water like in oil. What we're doing is we're duplicating what was so successful with the MLP model in inflation protection. Look, energy is it's a worldwide currency in itself, right? So can water be. Okay, water is completely immune, however, to global events. A war in Ukraine doesn't affect your local water rates. So it has the steadiness that we want when we're earning income off something. Okay, so it's an inflation countering asset. Water inflates at 4 times the rate of core inflation. Now we can argue that the core inflation numbers they give are nonsense. They are, but if you're inflating at 4 times the speed, you're providing a real value to the end user while staying your royalties that you're paying, that metered billing that they're paying, that's coming to us as investors, stays way ahead of inflation. So generational wealth. Water is the new gold. Water right now is $1 trillion a year industry supplying treatment to only 20% of the planet. You can do the math of what the total accessible market is, okay? Total addressable market. Obviously, if we can just get the TOM, not the TAM, it's a multi-trillion-dollar market. People who are doers, people who are innovators, people who are investors and entrepreneurs, we're here to solve problems. So this is, federal spending has obviously collapsed. These are just some stats in the United States. We are now down to a tiny fraction of what it was just in the 1980s, and we're talking about 55 billion gallons, $55 billion per year we're falling behind. Okay, that's not, so the $55 billion devoted to water in the recent Biden bill literally covers 1 year. It's a massive problem that can't be solved one cup at a time. So it's getting worse by orders of magnitude, as you can see. Right here in 2025, we're at $75 billion a year. So you're talking about a vibrant, amazing market that can be addressed by creating an asset and then accelerating it by fintech. Okay, the burden is falling on cities. Okay, 80% of agriculture and industry are responsible for 80% of the water usage. Okay, you treat it there, it gets better everywhere, and not by a little, by a lot. So I mentioned that water on demand is it's an actual instrument. Well, we have a planned initial public offering in about 2 years. So you're not an angel. I hear about, if you want to get phone calls at 6 o'clock in the morning on Sunday begging for more money, don't be an angel. If you don't want that, don't be an angel investor. The incubation part has already been done by a public company. They funded it. The first few million are in. Very, very effective in raising capital through Series A+, and with individual, kind of a bench of individual accredited investors that have supported this endeavor. So what we're now going to be doing is a $300 million raise. The first $20 million will be a Series A round, as you can see. Granted preferred stock. It's 10% water on demand, non-dilution protection. So no matter how large this offering gets, the first $20 million will own 10% of this company's float when it does eventually go public. You're going to get 25% of the net profits of those water royalties, and that's for life. These systems are designed to last for 100 years. So if we talk a quarter century, it's certainly realistic. And then you're going to, because it was incubated by a parent company, the parent company will have a tremendous benefit when this thing goes live and is, of course, a valuable public property. We hope that stock will do very, very well. You're going to get a grant of 1.5 times your investment in the underlying company. So that's just a little bit on the structure. So what we're going to be doing is we are going to, this is the website, so it basically it's going to be taking kind of crowdfunding investors in through the portal. Here is some of the pro forma performance of the fund. Water is an extremely profitable asset. Every dollar of water, every dollar of equipment that is created, what we can do is we can create about $5 worth of actual assets. So it's a very powerful model. Here's another statistic. $100,000 in this type of fund set up this way will probably treat about 27 million gallons of water. Okay, that's the definition of impact investing, and obviously for the long term it looks great. You know what? I know I'm out of time, so I want to thank you for your time and your generous attention. And I'm available to, we can meet privately. I can give you my card and we can set up a one-on-one meeting. Thank you so much.
There we go. That was a short look. It was about a 30-minute presentation, which we cut down for the purpose of brevity. But, we're starting to really make a lot of sense to strategic investors because people are looking for those income-bearing assets. And with that in mind, I wanted to talk a little bit about how we've been talking about how this is in our strategic presentation that we are leveraged like Y Combinator, which this Y Combinator showed up in so many of these huge IPOs. And it's not bad to make 440,000% on your money. Now, to be clear, we don't plan to just be the seed. We want to take it all the way through the first few series. But this gives an idea of where we start. Well, so I want to ask a question. How's Y Combinator doing? Well, here's what's going on, and that is that Y Combinator has this non-traditional approach to venture funding, where it's basically an accelerator. And now it's going to, by 2025, we'll be back in nearly 1,400 countries a year. It's pretty astonishing. And I've been pointing out to, there we go. Thank you very much, Manuel, for pointing out that my microphone was still pointed at the speaker. So hopefully that's better. There we go. Good. All right. So with that, I'm going to continue. So hopefully, Manuel, you'll let me know that it is cured ASAP. Moving on here, more from the same newsletter, CB Insights, an outstanding newsletter, by the way. Home buying. This is not a great graph. Good time to buy was all the way back in 2012, coming out of the last recession. And it's been dwindling ever since. It really took a dive, though, in early 21 because the housing prices went up. But now it's continued to go down because now interest rates are high. So it's kind of a double whammy. So again, real estate, not in great situation. And this is why water can and should be an alternative. All right. This is a terrible graph. These are the companies that had a market cap over $20 billion at one point. In the gray, that was their previous market cap. And in the red is their current market cap. Lord, take a look. Well, Rivian Automotive is still at about 22 billion. Square, which was at about 125 billion, is now around 38 billion and onward. So this is a pretty scary situation here for people who went in at very high rates. I believe that this is a time to be starting one of these things, so that, 2 years from now, we're looking at an IPO for water on demand that can be robust coming out of what appears to be a recession situation. All right. Alternative? Well, of course, the alternative is, and Catherine Austin Fitts was just an amazing thinker, former Assistant Secretary of Housing. And she states, this is a world where people are trying to get into real assets that can generate a yield. So that's the key. Look for assets that can generate a yield. The article here is not a turn down, it's a takedown. She believes that this is not an economic turndown. It's actually done on purpose for reasons she states. This article is also on Zero Hedge. Okay, so what is this real asset that can generate a yield? Water on demand. With that, I'm going to bring in Ken, who is still alive and well. I'm going to turn on his video so that he's allowed to be part of the team. And
I'm not so sure I want my video on after the week I had, but okay. Pardon the. I'm struggling on my main computer through internet issues. I can't.
You look good, actually.
For a guy who hasn't slept in 4 days, I look marvelous, right? I go away for 3 days and nothing works when I come home. I don't get it. I'll fix it later anyway. So what I got was there was a lot of people there talking about, so the common themes, and I brought home a copy of the program, but there were, investing into major disruptions was one topic of discussion. The other one was doing how to do good with your investments. We've been talking about doing well by doing good for 3 years? So kind of the quasi-institutional money, people I would call of true affluence, are really starting to have these conversations. And whereas we always associated family offices as being kind of like institutions like, hey, send me a 800-page due diligence package and we'll get back to you in 10 months, right? But in my discussions with Toby, right, Toby Prestel, he says, no, he goes, your due diligence, he goes, these guys will take down $1 to $10 million and it'll take about 8-10 weeks, right? So they've shifted. They're taking on more risk because they have to, because the stuff that was safe, right, not so much right now. And it was kind of a real sea change. It really opened my eyes. And I heard the same kind of concepts over and over and over again, that, you're going to put money out there. You're going to take risks to some extent. Why not do it in something that will have a measurable, definable good in the world? And most of these guys were pitching, maybe pitching isn't the word, the ask was donating money. Donating money to causes to prevent human slavery, to donate money to schools that did turnaround on troubled youth. Really, really good. I mean, very noble stuff, very powerful videos and stuff like that. But the ask was really a donation. So there's an expectation these folks will deploy capital with getting nothing back in the capital realm, but feeling good about it, having an impact. We came into this thing, very, very last second. We hadn't really formulated how we wanted to do it. And I think it resonated extraordinarily well. I had numerous family offices come up to me, probably 4 or 5 conversations immediately following. And they said, look, I love what you're doing. We did something similar, a Singaporean couple. My dad just did something with energy. Then he bundled up all the power purchase agreements and sold them. So I was like, boom, right? So they totally got, like, nothing had to be really explained. I think there's going to be a very, very powerful surge this year of your family office I mean, there were some folks on stage, we're talking 1,000-year-old money. They're the descendants of dukes in Luxembourg and Germany and stuff like that. So these guys have figured out how to protect that wealth for a millennia, right? So there's new money and then there's them, right? It's very, very different, and they have turned very philanthropic. This is, I think this is going to, I think our message will resonate even better in the New York show. And it's a 45-minute flight. So really happy about that. It was a great experience. I learned more watching than I did speaking, right? I picked up a lot. What you and I have talked about this. There's those who listen to rebut, and those who listen to reply, and those who listen to learn. So I got there. I was so tired. I just wanted to sit and listen. And I heard things that we've been talking about for years being repeated, almost similar phraseology. So this is, when you think you have a new idea, talk to somebody. And there are no original brilliant ideas. People have thought about it coming from a different place. But the fact that it's on the minds of some of the most successful, most affluent people in the world, and they're thinking on the same train of thought as we were without having had discussions with us, I was super excited that we're on the right path. This is what the world's wealthiest people are thinking about. They're thinking, and no one came out and said of it. They kept talking about it. It was kind of a holy shit moment. Like, these guys are talking about, what are you going to do? And I've heard people say, look, you're going to have to take some risks. This is uncharted waters right now. You're going to have to take some risks. Do it in something that'll make a difference, right? And I was able to kind of frame it in a way where, we're early, but here's how we're trying to, kind of de-risk, de-leverage you. Risk manage you, but here's the serious societal benefit, and I thought it resonated well.
Well, my friend, you were highly adaptive, and I think you did the right move by making it a very relaxed show. And now we officially, Robert Baxter says, fly private. That's a very good idea, actually. The launch of the Manhattan Street Capital portal, which is now up and running, and we announced it there. There'll be a press release early next week about that, and then we'll start feeding people into that, and that's going to be very interesting. And then, of course, doing the deals on the side with these sophisticated investors. So, my friend, you do look wasted.
I mean, look, it's been a rough couple of days, but I'll tell you what, it was a tremendous experience. I learned a ton about the new world we're heading into just by sitting there and observing. And the need for what we're doing has never been, it's never been more like, bonfire obvious. It's a bonfire right now. Mm-hmm. So New York's going to be a lot of fun. First of all, I do believe that several of these players that I spoke with, I believe we'll get some investments out of just this first, and you don't usually get investments in your first show. You get interest, you get conversations. Right. And those conversations go on for several months. They show up to the second show. You're there again, and there you go. But I think it exceedingly likely that a couple of the attendees that I spoke with, there was such significant interest that we'll see some. I think we'll see some family office players, and I think the Manhattan Street Capital portal being up, also advertising to that. I think we can speak to those guys about that as well. We said at first when we launched Manhattan Street Capital, we'll get to the family office guys after we do X. I think we talk to them now. I think where we are right now and the way this is being framed and the way that institutional presentation is set up, I think those conversations can happen now. And believe me when I tell you, they need it. There's a lot of smoke on the horizon in where they have their assets right now.
No, they need to. This is essentially going to dollar cost average their total portfolio way down.
Absolutely.
Because water as an asset is starting so low, And even though for some reason the stock took off the last few days, still it is a bargain. And so,
well, but their entry level into the private placement is completely separate from the stock, right? And that is insanely low, right?
Sure.
You know, because you're coming in as a founder, for goodness sake. So not only is it an asset as a dollar cost average, you know, kind of lowering your overall exposure in assets, getting one at the bottom, but our yields are far more favorable because those assets don't index against inflation very well right now. You know, it's very hard. You know what these commercial real estate, commercial properties did? They all locked in 7-year. Leases.
sure.
Oh my God! You know what? You know, what's that lease going to look like in 7? How badly upside down are these mortgage holders going to be?
Yeah. Well, my friend, thank you very much. It was you charged into the valley of death.
I dove into the breach.
You did indeed. So well done. I'm going to let you go. I want to thank you for doing this. And I think it was really, really interesting. So everyone, have a wonderful weekend. I'll be seeing you on the 30th, and we'll be following up on a lot of this. So stay tuned, do show up, and thank you again for your strong support. Keep joining us. Good night, Ken. Good night, everyone.
Good night.